In the first part of 1 Peter, it says that those who are chosen are the ones who believe in God's word and come to believe in Jesus. In chapter 3, which we read today, it tells us how those chosen people should live. Love your brothers. Here, brothers is the word adelphoi, which, in the New Testament, refers to the whole church community, including both men and women. So, brothers and sisters are all believers, and in a narrower sense, it means to love fellow church members. Then what does brotherly love mean in 1 Peter chapter 3? Let us divide today's message into 3 parts. First, loving your brothers means having compassion on them. 1 Peter 38 says, "Finally, all of you, be like-minded, be sympathetic, love one another, be compassionate and humble. In truth, all people are to be pitied, even the rich are pitiful, the poor are also pitiful, those in good health, and those who are ill both are to be pitied. Above all, it is pitiful to live without knowing the God who made us. Everything in this world has a maker, except for what is found in nature. Nothing we touch comes into being by itself. Even a knife must be shaped and sharpened. A car is made only through the hard work of many people. So if someone believes that human beings, who are the crown of creation, came into being on their own, that is a mistaken judgment. It is self-deception. Therefore, we must believe in the God who made the world, and if someone does not believe in God, we must remember, that alone is an unforgivable sin. In this sense, not believing in God is truly pitiful. Then is someone who believes in Jesus not pitiful? Not necessarily. Life itself is full of suffering, so even believers live pitiful lives, because we must go through pain in this world. We should have compassion on our brothers and sisters. To pity someone is a precious form of love. Feeling compassion for those we meet, that is love. When we see a child crying, lost, looking for their mother, we do not just walk past. Why? Because we pity that child. If we see someone collapse in the street, we call 911. Why? Because we pity them. In the Old Testament, Joseph is a clear example of one who pitied and forgave his brothers. Think about it. His brothers sold him to others for money. Because of that, he spent 13 years in prison. Such people are called enemies, but Joseph forgave them, because he had compassion. Though they hated him and sold him, he pitied his brothers. When Jesus told the parable of the Good Samaritan, he said a man was going to Jericho, but was attacked by robbers and left to die. A priest passed by, a Levite passed by. Both were people connected to God, but they did not show pity. Yet the Samaritan, whom Jews despised, saw the wounded man and had compassion. He put him on a donkey, brought him to an inn, and cared for him. He paid for his treatment and lodging. Why did he do this? Because he had pity on the man. In Kolkata, India, there is a place called the Missionaries of Charity. It was founded by Mother Teresa, a final refuge for the sick, orphans, the elderly, and the dying. Mother Teresa did this out of love for her brothers and sisters. Even today, there are those who serve the homeless and the poor in ministry. This is the ministry of mercy, loving the pitiful. All of this, the Bible calls brotherly love. Dear beloved, love your brothers and sisters. God speaks this to us. Therefore, I believe we must have compassion for our brothers and sisters. We must become people who show mercy. We should have the kind of love that shares even a cup of water with the thirsty. We should have the love that gives bread to the hungry. There are scenes in the Bible where the God of love appears severe. The flood in Noah's time, and the judgment by fire on Sodom and Gomorrah are such examples. Also, the command to destroy the Canaanite nations, even the children, may seem merciless, but these reveal God's judgment against sin. They show us how seriously God punishes sin. In some ways, it may feel that God is too harsh, but we must remember this. God hates sin, but he pities the sinner. Indeed, God gives sunlight and rain to both the righteous and the wicked. He does not withhold sunlight or rain just because someone has sinned. God treats even sinners fairly in this world. That is the heart of God. As we live in this world, we must reflect deeply on this heart of God. So I believe we must live with a heart that pities others, a heart full of compassion. I hope all of you here today will become people who pity your brothers and sisters, have compassion on your fellow believers, and also on neighbors who do not yet believe in Jesus. This is the mark of a person of faith. Next, to love your brothers means to bless them. Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult, but instead, bless them. 1 Peter 39 says, do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult, but with blessing, because to this you were called so that you may inherit a blessing. The second thing a chosen person must do is this: even to those who do evil to us or curse us, we must bless them. That is brotherly love. People of the world repay evil with evil. They answer insults with insults. If there is one word that best describes Japanese society, it might be revenge. The longest-running theatrical play in Japan, used for political and moral education, is Chushingura, which means Tale of Loyal Retainers in Korean. The story is set in 1701, when Lord Asano, a minor feudal lord, was insulted by Lord Kira and drew his sword in the shogun's palace, injuring him. Because of this, Asano was ordered to commit seppuku suicide by sword. The reason he had drawn a weapon before the shogun. After Asano's death, people were curious about how his retainers would respond. At first, they scattered, and their leader spent his days drinking, which led people to criticize them as disloyal servants. But a year later, they appeared at Kira's estate and killed 18 people. Then, all 47 retainers committed seppuku at Asano's grave. They had avenged their lord and died by their own hands. Through this story, Japanese people reaffirm the righteousness of vengeance. It is also used to teach loyalty to the state. In some Middle Eastern countries, there are laws of honor killings. Sons and daughters who marry across class or religion are killed by family, believing that such killings protect family honor. They believe such acts are justified. Thus, in many places, people believe it is right to return evil for evil and insult for insult. But the Bible tells us not to repay evil with evil. Do not repay insult with insult. Leave it to God. Instead, bless them and pray for them. This is the attitude of a believer. King David, before he became king, was pursued by Saul for 10 years. Saul was determined to kill David. But even when David had 2 chances to kill Saul, he did not do so. He only cut off a piece of Saul's robe to warn him. David's reason: he feared striking down one anointed by God. Rather than take revenge, David entrusted it to God. And eventually, Saul died on the battlefield by God's hand. What about Job? His friends came to comfort him, but later turned against him. They said he suffered because of his own sin, and even mocked him openly. Instead of comforting him, they poured salt on his wounds. But after Job was healed and everything was restored, he forgave them. He did not return insult for insult, but blessed them. Dear beloved, it is not easy to bless those who harm us, slander us, or mistreat our families. Yet we must become people who bless rather than seek revenge. Nelson Mandela, who became the president of South Africa, fought for the rights of black people and spent 27 years in prison. Yet when he became the first black president in 1994, he did not seek revenge on those who enforced apartheid. Instead, he formed the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, leading national healing and forgiveness. Mandela is known as the one who responded not with revenge, but with forgiveness and reconciliation. Dear beloved, do not try to avenge yourselves. Do not repay insult with insult. Be people of faith who entrust all things to God. Repay evil with good. Forgive even your enemies and show them love. This is what the Bible tells us to do. I bless all of you here today to become those who practice such love for your brothers and sisters. Lastly, to love your brothers means to do good to them, and to seek peace. 1 Peter 3:10 says, "For whoever would love life and see good days, must keep their tongue from evil and their lips from deceitful speech." 1 Peter 3:11 says, "They must turn from evil and do good. They must seek peace and pursue it." This passage tells us to do good and also to stop speaking evil. Why? Because people often speak evil. Most conflicts begin with words. People often enjoy looking down on others, provoking anger, and mocking them. When others suffer, they may pretend to care, but deep inside feel secretly pleased. So they gossip and slander behind their backs. That's why people tend to criticize more than praise. God knows this human heart, so He tells us to hold our tongue. Words lead to more words, to conflict, and even to murder. In such a world, God tells us not to speak evil, but to do good. We want to speak and release our anger. We want to curse and let our rage out, but God tells us to do good. That is not easy. Yet believers must choose goodness and peace over cursing and revenge, because words come back around, and you never know how the person you hurt will respond. For our own sake, we must show kindness to our brothers. In Numbers, we see many who opposed Moses' authority. Miriam and Aaron, his own sister and brother, criticized Moses for marrying a Cushite woman. They claimed that they too received God's revelation like Moses. God became angry at this, and He struck Miriam with leprosy. Because Aaron was high priest, only Miriam's body was covered. She repented and Moses prayed for her, and she was healed. Their punishment came because they spoke against Moses. In Numbers 16, Korah, Dathan, and their followers rebelled. They said, "We are also Levites. We are also God's people. Why should Moses lead?" They rejected Moses' leadership. God brought all of them and their families together, and the earth split and swallowed them alive. They fell into the grave in an instant. This was judgment for their pride and their words. Dear beloved, people of faith must do good to others. They must make peace and help others succeed. It is not enough that only I succeed. We must succeed together. That must be the attitude of those who are chosen. The Apostle Paul says in Romans 1218, "If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone." Paul preached the gospel wherever he went. He was persecuted and had to flee, yet he did not quarrel. He sought peace. Jesus, in the Sermon on the Mount, declared, "Blessed are the peacemakers." He himself died to bring peace between God and man. Even on the cross, at the moment of his death, he prayed, "Father, Forgive them. Because of Jesus, we now enjoy peace with God. When African Americans suffered under racial discrimination in the U.S., Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. sought peace. Through nonviolent protests and his powerful sermon, I Have a Dream, he exposed the injustice in American society. His voice helped change the Civil Rights Act, and gave African Americans the right to vote. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., a servant of God, was a man of peace. Dear beloved, do not speak evil or do harm with your words. Love your brothers and do what is good. God will surely receive such a heart. Today's message tells us love your brothers, have compassion, bless them, and do good instead of speaking evil. That is the attitude of the chosen. Keep today's word in your heart. Though life may be hard and painful, may you think deeply of God, and become those who truly love your brothers and sisters. Let us now pray together, reflecting on today's message.